My ex-husband ditched his daughter for his new family but promised that he would go to her graduation, but that meant I couldn't go. Now he ditched her again, and when she pleaded for me to take his spot I refused. I, 40F, have a daughter, 18F, who I'll call Belle. When she was younger, her father, who I broke up with before she was born, was very involved in her life, and she was admittedly a dad's girl, but this all changed when she turned 8 and he got married. He barely called and just abandoned her for his new family. This was obviously hard on her and she rebelled a lot. But she went to therapy and seemed good. Belle has not seen him since she was 12 and he speaks to her maybe 3 times a year maximum. When he calls, she believes he is now back in her life for good, then he ghosts her for the remainder of the year. This being said, Belle and I have a great relationship, we do everything together. She even refers to me as her best friend, so I'd say we have a good relationship. Recently was her graduation and I was excited. But then she came to me a week before and told me she is going to invite her dad and his son. And cause her dad doesn't want to see me, I can't come. Belle told me that was the only way he was gonna go. I angrily told her, I felt betrayed and won't forgive her for this. She just told me I have been there for many of her milestones and she wants her father to experience some too. Things got heated and we argued. The night before her graduation, I pleaded with her but she ignored me when I spoke. And only said I'm sorry but I'm not changing my mind. I left and cried until my sister offered to take me out during the graduation to take my mind of it, and I agreed. I woke up the next morning to my daughter bawling her eyes out. I looked at the time and realized the ceremony starts in 5 minutes. I asked Belle why she hasn't left yet. Belle then tells me her father ditched her and isn't answering anymore. I hug her and tell her to make the most of her graduation. She looks shocked and asks if I'm not going to the ceremony now her father isn't anymore. And how it'll be embarrassing to be the only one there without parents. I told I'm sorry that I already had plans. She then screamed and called me a bad mom. I apologized once again and got ready to meet my sister. I chose not to go because I felt betrayed and wanted to teach her actions have consequences, even if it broke me that I didn't go. Since Belle returned she hasn't spoken a word to me. And she looks depressed and like she's been crying for ages. I'm starting to regret not going. My sister says I did the right thing, but one of the moms at my daughter's school said she was depressed at graduation, and now I feel bad that I ruined what was supposed to be a day to remember because I wanted to teach my daughter a lesson. So am I a bad mom for this? Update 1. So, I went to my daughter and apologized for not going to her graduation. I also explained that it is not a nice feeling to be left out and I feel underappreciated. Also, that it's fine to want her father there for her, but I should too. Belle told me that she's sorry things ended this way and that she loves me, hugged me, and wants things to go back to normal. And that she acted like a bitch. I told her nevertheless I should have been there, and if I could do this all over again, I would have gone. Honestly, I said this as I thought she now knew her dad can't be trusted and I felt for her. Then I asked her if she regret uninviting me in the first place, and unsurprisingly she said no. This hurt me, but I figured it was because I didn't go, so it was understandable. But no, she continued saying that it was probably best I didn't go because she would have been more miserable as she would have preferred her dad to be there anyway. Then I got pissed I didn't show it. I told her my feelings were hurt, especially since I've been there for her. And she said that she's always going to want her dad there for her big moments. I asked, even at the expense of me and knowing he most likely won't show. And she replied, I mean if I have to make sacrifices, I'm going to have my dad there. I repeated the question as she seemed to be swerving it, but she just shrugged and went on her phone. I told her not to expect everyone to apologize and turn a blind eye when she doesn't value them in the real world. And I also said, knowing how she feels, don't expect another apology from me, and this is the last time I'm doing this. She looked tear-eyed, but I left. I don't know how other parents do this. I know her father is going to keep abandoning her, and honestly I'm at my limit. And if I didn't know whether I was wrong or not before, I definitely know I was right in not going. I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash saying this, but I'm bitter and angry. I understand wanting her dad there, but I should be on the same level of importance as him. I'm still going to be there for her when he inevitably ditches her again, but if this behavior carries on to her next graduation or wedding day, I can't say I'll be that apologetic to her. I should have just listened to you guys. Update 2. I'm sure no one asked for this update, but here goes. I'm going to refer to Belle's father as Frank. For the past few months I've done a lot of reflection. Although, I can't say I regret not going to B's graduation ceremony, I do wish I handled the situation more like an adult. Growing up, I was taught never to ask questions I don't want the answer to, and that is exactly what I did with my daughter. I shouldn't have asked if she regretted uninviting me because truthfully I didn't want to hear the answer. And for that, I think I acted childish. To clear up some misconception, I don't speak to Belle's father simply because he refuses to be cooperative. Also, when I said Belle referred to me as her best friend, this doesn't mean I treat her like my equal. I do parent her. She did get grounded and got her phone taken away when she misbehaved at school, etc., which is rarely. I think she calls me that because she feels comfortable to talk to me about everything. Now to the update. There was an incident after, where Belle wanted her dad's help her move into her college apartment before term started, but he refused because he had work. She begged for weeks. The whole 3-hour ride to her college was her crying hysterically. My sister consoled her, but if I'm being honest, I was pissed. Pissed at my daughter as she refuses to go therapy anymore, but seriously pissed at my ex. It took me ages after graduation, but I finally got in contact with ex-aunt. I explained the situation and that I need to get into contact with him as he's either ignoring or not getting my messages. He ended up sending me a very long letter. In a small nutshell, it said that my daughter has been stalking and threatening him and his family, and he's been trying to have a healthy relationship with her, but she keeps being aggressive, so he had to distance himself. He acknowledges he hasn't been the best father, but he tried for the past few years and Belle is too aggressive, so he had to put the safety of his family first. As for the graduation, he wrote that he'd definitely refuse to go. And only said it was probably for the best, as I probably wouldn't feel too comfortable with him there. He said not to contact him again and that we've done enough damage. He added photocopies of messages between him and Belle, where she says deeply troubling things, like physical threats. Personally, I thought everything he said was BS and misconstrued. I spoke to Belle and told her of her father's accusations. She broke down in tears hysterically and admitted that she hasn't been the nicest to Frank's wife and child, understandably, but she never threatened and stalked them. I was trying to calm her down. I told her I believe her and suggested therapy. Then she turned on me, blaming me for the breakdown between her and her father relationship. She swore at me and broke stuff. She told me to stop trying to villainize her father, when I'm the problem. She called me a burden and cancer and said I should have stayed out of her business. I was called a bad mother and told I should burn in hell. To be clear, she was never violent towards me. She packed her stuff and left, presumably back to college. Me or my family haven't heard from her since. I called and called but only got one message from a random number telling me to leave her alone. I told her I'm always here when she's ready to talk. It's been 2+ months since I spoke to her. I'll never admit this to anyone, but honestly I feel relieved. My self-esteem plummeted and I felt dead for the longest time because of this situation. I'm going therapy and feel the tiniest bit better. I finally went on a date yesterday for the first time in a decade, without getting guilted. In hindsight, mine and B's relationship were nowhere near perfect. I don't know what more I could have done, but I wished I did more. She's my child and she was a victim of an overall shit situation. Sorry for the long update.